T-Dog, J-Boy, and me, I'm Lugs. Our pride and joy is pumping our mugs. Be careful, kids, it could get rough. We're flipping our lids on sports and other stuff.
Welcome to Sport Weasel Central. I'm Lugs.
I'm J-Boy.
I'm T-Dog.
That's right. Wake up the echoes. Wake up Robert Montgomery Knight. It's Hoosier Hysteria. Plus, we'll talk about Notre Dame, Clemson, that instant classic. NFL Week 9. Who are those Buccaneers anyway? But paging Mr. Jim Harbaugh. Mr. Jim Harbaugh first. Is he done? How far can Indiana go? We ask the questions. And we'll welcome into the broadcast booth the president of the Don Fisher fan club, Mr. T-Dog. Dog, your team.
They did it. They did it.
Crazy stuff.
And the greatest thing is it's similar to when UK's agony with Tennessee to have such a long losing streak, not only to win, but to win convincingly. I mean, it's just a nice way to end a double decade plus, like, just torment. So
I saw a stat. Okay, in the past 48 games against Penn State and Michigan, the Hoosiers were 1-47. This year, they're 2-0. It's good stuff. Love it.
Well, they finally have an offense that can get something done. The Penix kid, I'm impressed with a lot, actually. And they've got a good enough defense to hang with people now. So maybe Tom Allen is for real.
Well, Tom Allen, at the time, I'll admit I think it was a ballsy decision to make him the head coach. I know I don't want to get into letting go of Wilson. Obviously, it was an underreported story, and I don't know how accurate it is, like, for what they wanted to move on from Wilson. You look at it, he had other college experience previous, but mainly he was a high school coach. I mean, he won 3 titles, I believe, at Ben Davis, which is perennial powerhouse in Indiana high school football. So it's not that he didn't have a background, but obviously at the college ranks, it was kind of under. But you look at what he's done in his tenure now, like what he did last year and what he's done earlier this year. It feels like he has developed this team into being something. The script for all 3 games, even though I guess the Penn State offensive one was a little more choppy, it's been the same script. They turn the ball over. They've had generated 8 turnovers through 3 games, and Michael Penix comes up and makes special plays out of nothing for the most part. And just some of his touchdown throws, I mean, to be fair, the DBs were in good coverage. It's just, he just threw it in a bucket. And he didn't rush because he doesn't try to run at all. He runs when he needs to. But it's just that, for defenses, it stresses defenses out because the threat of him running is there. So
what about Jim Harbaugh, guys?
They're never going to get rid of Harbaugh there.
You don't think
there's
so?
Going to be all this outside chatter about him and all of that, but they're not. No, never. He just has to get himself a quarterback. I mean, they got to do some serious recruiting. I think that's what has made Indiana. Indiana is mostly homegrown by and large. They just recruited, stuck to the plan. I think they expected too much out of Harbaugh too early from a team that, what's he in now? 3rd, 4th year? He needs to start showing something, but I don't think he's going to go away.
I mean, I guess I'll give the small silver lining for Michigan is Joe Milton is they found a quarterback. Michigan, that's the one thing that Harbaugh hasn't had in his tenure. I say this after he threw 2 interceptions on Saturday. But he at least finally has a quarterback who I think in time will develop and be a very good quarterback. He's just inexperienced right now. the problem is their defense that used to be his staple of his teams. It's just not that good. Their DBs in particular, they like to play man coverage, and they're not able to. I mean, they're not able to stop anybody. And again, like Indiana has two very talented wide receivers in Freifogel. He had 142 yards, touchdown. And Whop Philliard, I know his yardage wasn't great, but he had 79 yards on 11 catches. So, and last week against Michigan State, they allowed a true freshman, White, to have 195 yards receiving. So it's a problem that they can't, and obviously they have so much problem that I think they try to maybe allow their linebackers to play more coverage. Well, now they're giving up yard running because Stevie Scott had 97 yards and two rushing touchdowns against them. So it's just there's all sorts of problems on defense.
He's been at Michigan since 2015. So, the crowd base is a little antsy up there.
And obviously still the thing that kills him is he hasn't beaten Ohio State yet, and he's not going to beat Ohio State this year.
Nope.
I mean,
Justin Fields will have 500 yards in that game.
Yeah. All right, what about Notre Dame Clemson? Was that magic or Lugs? I'm turning to you because you had Clemson cranking on old Golden Domers by a big number, and I don't think that happened.
It did not. Impressive. I got to give it to Ian Book. He showed up. He didn't make any bad throws. I mean, it was an amazing thing. I still think if you got Trevor Lawrence and the guys on defense are back for Clemson, it's a different game. But, hey, everybody's playing with the COVID and with injuries. So hats off to the Irish. I was kind of surprised when you looked into the stands and there was like at least 10 or 15,000 people there, all side by side with no mask on. I mean, it was I was kind of shocked by that because wasn't he one of the ones in the Rose Garden without the mask and he got COVID?
Well, considering how bad the COVID numbers are in the state of Indiana,
it's unbelievable.
Why you allowed that many people in and then they storm the field? And it's like, hey, great, Notre Dame's undefeated and they're maybe going to have to forfeit their next game and maybe the week after.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they were surrounding the players and it was just like, it was madness, man.
Yeah.
It's a wild year and it's fun to see a game like that though. But,
I think that was the championship game personally. I mean, Alabama's good and all, but that one will put Notre Dame in the mix. If Notre Dame hadn't won that, they wouldn't have been in the mix.
True.
At all.
True.
I don't think.
Well, the good thing is it probably keeps them both still in the mix because Clemson was close enough.
Yeah.
And obviously, as good as Uiagalelei looked, I mean, he threw 439 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. They still didn't have Trevor Lawrence, but I guess to me the game really came down to this. Obviously, Notre Dame played well. I'm not going to try to push off to the side, but it really came down to this. There were 3 the turnover battle was Notre Dame had 3 turnovers to Clemson's 1. And particularly one of the turnovers was similar to the BC turnover Clemson had where it was an exchange. It was a toss this time from Uiagalelei to Etienne where Notre Dame was able to catch it and run it in for a touchdown. So, and also Notre Dame, a big credit to Kyron Williams. I mean, their running back, he had 140 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, and mainly Notre Dame was able to average 5.2 yards per rush, and Notre Dame's defense was able to contain Clemson to 1 yard per rush, essentially. So I think that was a big difference in the game.
So let me ask you guys a question. Don't we have our Final Four already set? I mean, really, Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, Ohio State. Is that going to change?
It wouldn't seem likely. See, with this year with COVID, it's hard to predict. But, yeah, I mean, those by far are head and shoulders above everybody else. Florida, maybe.
I was going to say that's the only one I want to give an outside shot to is Florida.
Yeah.
Particularly, they play Alabama tough in what probably will be the SEC championship game.
And don't you love the Pac-12 playing these 9 a.m. Pacific kickoffs on Saturdays just to get on noon games on the East Coast? Those guys are like eating the game breakfast at like 4:45 in the morning. It's crazy what they're trying to do, but I got to give them credit.
It's. Hey, to be fair, they always complain about East Coast bias. That's the only way you can do it. It does, yeah. Like you said, it sucks that they have to do that, but it is the way you cut into worrying about that.
Yeah, but be honest. Be honest now. Those boys don't actually play football. It's kind of like they're 8-man teams, aren't they? I mean,
7-on-7.
Yeah, I mean, Come on, seriously.
There are some like small states that have state championships of like 7-on-7 and 8-on-8, and they play on an 80-yard field and stuff. It's like watching those junior high games or something. But
arena football.
How can the Pac-12 do anything with a 7-game season?
And they play each other,
right?
Well, I mean, the Big Ten's not that much better. It's 8?
8. Well,
Yeah. I mean, at least you have Ohio State. That's the thing. Oregon, if Oregon doesn't slip on a banana peel, maybe they're in contention, maybe, but I doubt it. I mean, to be fair to you all, it's not only that the perception of Pac-12 is down, and we don't see them play anyone outside of it, so it's not going to improve. It's one of those things they're not going to improve because they're going to beat up on a bunch of teams no one perceives as being good. So.
Okay, you guys want to talk a little SEC?
Florida, Georgia, the largest cocktail party outside where hopefully people got under tents for that cocktail party because it was raining pretty heavy.
Well, I was just impressed with Florida. Georgia, their weaknesses showed up really badly in this game in particular as far as keeping the quarterback under control on defense. But Georgia, it's kind of funny. Those two guys, Smart and I've forgotten the other coach's name.
Mullen.
They're real familiar with each other. You can tell. Yeah. I mean, it's like everybody accuses Clemson of stealing signals. I think those boys know each other's plays inside out. So it was just like who had the best talent, and Florida had the best talent.
Did you say Mullen or Mullet?
Mullen.
Mullen.
M-U-L-L-E-N.
Okay, go ahead. Hey.
Again, if you do the macro level of this game, it came down to one team has a quarterback, the other team had two guys playing quarterback. That's what it came down to. Kyle Trask, who came in for
Bennett.
Versus Stetson Bennett. Kyle Trask, I think he threw for over 300 yards in the first half. He finished with 474, 4 touchdowns, 1 INT. And the Georgia quarterbacks, I'm not even going to talk about Bennett. I'm just going to general. Florida, who has not been good on defense, that's been the one worrisome thing about Florida possibly being in contention for the college championship. They had 3 sacks and 3 INTs on the Georgia quarterbacks. The Georgia quarterbacks were 9-29, so 31% completion percentage on passes. It was just an absolute mess. And the only other thing I want to talk about this game is, I guess down the line on Sundays, and unfortunately he was forced from the game on a horrific targeting call. The tight end for Florida, Kyle Pitts. He's one of those guys. I think we all know what we're talking about when I say this. He's one of those guys when you watch is like, this guy does not fit here. Like, he's a man among boys. Like, Kyle Pitts is like making plays that you're like, he doesn't feel like he should be playing. He's above this level. He shouldn't be playing on this level right now.
And they call him Baby Gronk, right? Or is that?
No, that's the tight end for Notre Dame. No.
Okay.
I think Kyle Pitts, I don't think he's his fastest guy. When I watch Kyle Pitts, he reminds me of Andre Johnson. That's all I'll say.
Well, I was going to say his fit in the NFL would be perfect at Pittsburgh. If he were at Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Because Ben would find him, and he can